Hello boys and girls. Today I'm going to show you how you can make a clay fish using some hand building clay strategies. And we're going to start today with a slab of clay. So a slab of clay looks like this. It's sort of like a pancake that I've already rolled out for you. So the first thing you're going to do is think about the shape of a fish. And I have a handout for you with some different shapes for a fish body. You know what the great thing is about making a fish? Is that there are so many different types of fish, you really can't go wrong. And then you're going to use either a tool like this, or I have some wooden tools that are similar to this. And you're going to, on the top of the clay, which, oh gosh, it feels so cold and mushy. It feels really fun to touch. You're going to carve the shape of the fish that you would like to have. Now, I'm only carving the fish body and tail. I'm not going to draw on any of the fins yet. So I have the fish shape that I kind of like. And if I make a mistake, if I think, oh, I don't really want that, look at this. You can just sort of erase it with your finger. Okay, once you're happy with the shape, you're going to go back and push harder, and you'll start to feel that you're actually touching the cloth or newspaper that's right underneath your clay slab. And you're going to start peeling away some of this extra clay. Now, it's very tempting, I know, to take that extra clay and start squishing it up in your hands. But you don't want to do that because we're going to need that extra clay to make the fish fins. Okay, so we have our slab of clay, and now we've changed it into a fish shape. Shape is an element of art, isn't it? Now, I have kind of some rough edges, so I'm going to take a sponge here that has some moisture on it. It has something on it called slip. Slip is sort of like a magical mixture of clay and water, and it's sort of kind of like lotion for clay. It's also like glue for clay. So if you want to attach two pieces, you use slip. And I think it's called slip because it's slippery. Now, we have the shape of our fish, but what about the texture of our fish? Texture is an element of art. You can see in my fish that I have finished here, I have a really cool texture on my fish. So, there are a couple of things you can do. I have these rollers that you could use, and you actually take the roller and press it down gently onto your slab of clay and roll it. And look at that. Very quickly you get a nice texture. Another thing you could do is take some of these smaller tools that I have and actually just sort of press into the clay to make a texture. So this is just a popsicle stick. And this looks really cool because it kind of looks like fish scales, doesn't it? So I can keep going. And you can do a combination of the two, like I just did. I used the roller and the popsicle stick to make my fish texture. Texture is an element of art that talks or is about the way something feels or looks like it feels. In this case, it's going to be both the way it feels and looks like it feels, both. We call that real or implied texture. All right, so now I have the texture on the fish body. What about the texture on the tail? I think it looks neat if I take the side of my popsicle stick and press it like this. That kind of looks this way, those sort of grooves or lines that you get on a fish tail. So you can see really quickly, I already have a lot of my fish finished. Okay, what's missing on my fish? Let me take a look at my finished one again. I think my fish needs an eye so we can see. So here's where we're going to use a little bit of these extra slabs. We can take the slab, and you'll notice on your table I have lots of things that you can use actually to sort of cut or stamp out your different shapes. So I have my slab. I'm going to take this little circle cutter and press down into the clay, give it a little bit of wiggle. This is just like making, if you've ever made sort of sugar cookies. In fact, I believe this is a cookie cutter. And then I take this and I gently sort of pop it out. And now I need to attach this to my fish. Now, here's where we need to use one of those hand building strategies. I can't just take this eye and stick it on there. It might stick for a few minutes, but eventually it's going to pop off. It's not going to last for very long. So I need to do something called score and slip. So scoring is when I take a tool and I scratch into the surface. In fact, some people call it scratch. So I've scratched the surface, okay, and then I decide where I'm going to put my eye. I want to put it there, and I'm going to scratch that surface too. So I'm making little scratches like I've drawn there. Now remember I told you slip is kind of like a glue. I'm going to get a little slip. Here's the slip in my bowl. And I'm going to add a little slip there and a little slip there. And then I can stick it on and give it kind of a little wiggle like that. And that will help it stick for a long time. And I can smooth it out. If I want to use one of my little tools to carve into the surface to add my own sort of drawn on texture, I can. All right, what else is missing? I think my fish needs a mouth. So I'm going to take my popsicle stick, and usually a fish's mouth is a little bit low, kind of down here. So I'm going to take the popsicle stick and push it all the way through, and watch this. I'm just going to sort of slide it open. And there's my fish's mouth. If I want it to look a little bit more like a smile, maybe I'll go back in and kind of make it curve up. So now he's smiling, or she's smiling. And I think my fish needs 3 more things. Can you tell what they are? The fins, that's right. 1 on the side, 1 on the top, and 1 on the bottom. Or maybe there's 2 on the bottom. I think I've seen that before. So I'm going to use my extra slab that I have here and kind of sit it next to my fish and think about how big it should be. So I'm going to sort of draw into the surface of the slab, just like we did to start, and then remember I go back and I carve it. There we go. And you can decide how you would like to add texture, which is an element of art, to this slab. You could do it the same way you did as the tail, or you could do something different. I think I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to use the side of my popsicle stick. I think I pressed a little bit too hard there on the end, but that's okay. There we go. Now, do you remember how I need to attach 2 pieces of clay? That's right. Score and slip. So I take my, I know that I want to attach them like this. I'm going to overlap and put the top of the fish body on the top of my fin. I scratch the surface. I add the slip. I scratch the back. I add the slip. And I stick them together, just like this. All right, so now you know some clay hand building strategies for making your own fish. Now this fish isn't all the way finished. I would keep adding my other fins and any details I want. And then of course I'm going to sit it on a piece of paper that has my name and class code on it. And Mrs. Connell will write your name on the back for you when you are finished. Have fun, boys and girls.